Okay, we're about 1 minute after 11 a.m. So we're going to go ahead and get started in the interest of time. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. I just wanted to start out with some housekeeping items. This session is being recorded, so we will be sending a link to everyone at the end. We encourage participation. If you have any questions at all during the session, you can go ahead and enter them into the chat, and our presenters will answer those as they come in. And thanks to Mitel for presenting for us today. Moving to the cloud, we have Joseph Herde, who is a director of product marketing, and we have Scott Brodie, who is a solutions architect. And I'm going to turn it over to them.
Good morning, folks. Hope everybody is doing well out there. I'm Joe. Thank you very much. Scott's going to join me in a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds actually. And what are we here to talk about today? We're here to talk about moving to the cloud with Mitel, right? Feel free to stop us along the way if you have any questions, any comments on anything that we're showing here. And Scott, thanks for joining us. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
So I'm Scott Brodie. I'm a solutions architect for Mitel. I've been here for too many years to count, so I don't want to date myself. But I'm here as the technical resource in case you guys have any questions. I'm here to help answer any of those.
Scott's here to keep us smart, because guaranteed if you guys ask me any questions, I'm not going to be able to answer it. I'm just kidding. Might be able to answer one, but Scott's got the rest. All right, folks, so if you see me looking away from my screen here, I'm not looking away from you. I'm looking at my other screen to move the presentation along. So what are we here to talk about today? We're going to talk about why cloud in general, right? What's the benefits of moving to the cloud? Why are other companies moving to the cloud? Why you may want to consider moving to the cloud, all that type of stuff. Then we're going to move the conversation towards, okay, so we know why we need to move to the cloud. No, why should we choose you? Why do we have to go with Mitel? So we're going to get into that. And then we're going to cover off some frequently asked questions in terms of why move to MiCloud Connect type of thing. And if you don't see your questions reflected there, when we go through that, and if you think, you know what, I have a different question, by all means throw it to us, and we'd be happy to jump into it, right? Okay, so why cloud, right? We've been hearing people talk about cloud for a long time now. We always like to show some stats. What are we showing here? There's 30, these stats change almost every time that we show this, because the numbers are climbing by the day, by the week, by the month. 13, I've seen numbers as high as 20%, 13 to 20% of companies migrating per year. 340 million global on-prem seats migrating every year. 54% of those folks are moving to the cloud. Again, I've seen higher figures than that. Estimated 23 million migrations this year alone. What's causing all this? What's prompting this general move to the cloud? And there's some drivers that we've identified there, right? Like, for example, companies are looking for new ways to communicate, not only with each other, with their teams and so forth, but with customers, right? Everybody has their own ways of working. So, for example, even within Mitel, I might be more prone to sending someone a message because I may not have my headset on. If somebody calls me, I could take my headset up and put it on, or I got my phone over here. So everybody has different preferences for communicating with each other in a team. Email, messaging, pick up, call someone, soft phone, or physical phone. So this is just the same thing applies in companies as well, right? And also the same thing applies with your customers. Your customers would also have those preferences in terms of how they communicate with you. Never mind my messages here. Tell people to stop messaging me about that. All right, on a webinar. So customers also have their same preferences. They might want to communicate with you, right, via SMS, via email, via phone call, and so forth, right? So we have to make sure that we're providing businesses like yourselves with tools that can accommodate to not only the different preferences of your internal teams communicating needs, but also your customers as well, right? So that's one thing. That's new capabilities Scott, did I forget anything in terms of, companies being able to address and adapt to the different various ways people like to communicate? Oh, and you're muted, sorry. I'll let Scott, okay, so we're gonna let Scott fix his audio issues, and let's continue going until listen guys, he's a solutions architect, he can figure this out, trust me. Still off, no. Blame it on GoToMeeting, it's not his fault, it's GoToMeeting, right? Okay, unifying communication systems as a result of mergers. You just jump in whenever you get with us, Scott, and I'll be quiet. Still can't hear you. There's mergers and acquisitions going on all the time. This company's buying this one, this company's merging with this one. Whenever that happens, there's two systems coming together. And if the companies are lucky, it's the same system. Are they always lucky? Absolutely not. They may have a mix of communication systems, Mitel, NEC. Some of the longer standing folks may still be using Nortel stuff. Might be some Avaya stuff, some Cisco gear, etc. It's going to be a hodgepodge of communication systems in whenever we get into these mergers and acquisitions, right? So companies are looking for ways to streamline, right? They want to choose one, and that one has to be able to do it all, right? Business expansion, you want to expand your branch offices. You're operating out of one office right now. Business is doing well. We want to expand into this city or this state or this other country, right? You want to make sure that the communications platform can accommodate that type of expansion. And what comes with expansion? More employees, etc. You want to be able to scale, right? Streamlining operations to focus on the core business. Once again, it's about focus, right? Companies are trying to figure out ways to, okay, how do we get on a path of sustainable growth? And communication systems is one of the tools that enables that. How are your teams going to work with each other if they can't communicate and collaborate on stuff, right? Everybody's trying to work together, heading in the same direction, right? There's Scott.
Can you hear me?
We got you now.
Okay.
All right.
Apologies.
No problem, man. So, all right. So let's wrap this up. And I'm going to ask you, hey, what's your thoughts on this move to the cloud? First slide. The last thing I just want to mention is the obvious one. Some of these on-prem solutions might be up for refresh, or some of them might be approaching end of life. And you know what happens when the stuff gets to end of life. Then there's limited parts available, limited support, limited releases, limited software updates, etc. And then you could possibly get into some services use and so forth at that stage. Then you definitely want to figure out, okay, what's the next step for me? Scott, you've heard my whole rant there. Have I forgotten anything that's worthy of mention?
Well, I had to drop for a second to reinitialize my audio, but yeah, it's the way that you look at it is customers, and what is a customer, right? A customer is anybody that your business communicates with, essentially. And an analogy that I like to use is if I sat in a room with my nieces who are younger than me, I'm not going to date myself, but these girls will sit in the same room and communicate via texting. They won't even talk to each other. They'll giggle and stuff, but that's the way that they communicate. That's the way that this next generation is doing it. So having the ability to communicate with your customers the way that they want to be communicated with is essential in today's market, right? If you call into a company and you see that, it's only voice, or I can't email, I can't chat, I can't text, I'm going to look for another company to do business with because that's the way that you're comfortable with. So we have to expand those communication methods, and the Mitel Cloud is a good way to do that.
Yep, absolutely. Alrighty, let's move on to the next slide here. The evolution of business pre and post pandemic, right? There's some obvious things here, some obvious talk tracks. So if we look at the way that things were, if we dial the clock back all the way to maybe 3 years ago, which has now become the olden days. You remember hear people saying about the olden days, or these are the olden days. The olden days is now pre-pandemic, right? And we think about that, just looking at some of these things here. when customers visited you. Wow, what a concept. You know, you visited customers. Remote working was optional. It was actually a luxury for some companies. On-premise systems we used. And of course, those on-prem systems came out of the CapEx budget, which was usually managed by, depending on the size of the company, the IT head or the owner of the company, right? So that's the way it was. Lots of on-site activities, going to meet customers, them coming to meet you, etc. I miss those days, to be honest. Then the pandemic hit, and then we had to figure out, okay, well, we got all these lockdowns that are being enforced, and we got COVID craziness and stuff like that. Companies had to figure out how to work remotely, right? And that was a challenge for a lot, because some of those on-prem systems, they either were not easily able to facilitate a remote work environment, or they just weren't able to do it, period, right? In-person visits and customer visits and all that was wiped off the table. In fact, I even remember when COVID hit, the first sign of companies being able to pivot was restaurants, right? They had to figure out how am I going to keep my business running? And then next thing you know, you saw all these guys coming up with these different ways to do pickups and deliveries, and restaurants that didn't have a drive-through before were building drive-throughs. So people figured out ways to maintain business continuity, right? Fast decisions kept businesses running. That's an example of what I just talked about. Pharmacies did the same thing. Pharmacies had to very quickly pivot to, a pickup and delivery method because people couldn't walk into the stores. Temporary technologies with little vetting. So again, companies are trying to figure out how to maintain business continuity. They don't have a whole lot of time to vet solutions, because the more time they spend vetting a solution, that's the more time that the door is closed. And the more time the door is closed, there's no money coming in, right? So people are trying to figure out, okay, whatever, let's just get something going. Let's just keep us running. We'll figure it out later. Okay, let's move forward again, back to the business adoption phase. Okay, that's where we are right now. Things are calming down a bit. We're getting a chance to go out more and stuff. Businesses are now at a point where they're figuring out, okay, well, let's take a breath, let's take a step back and make sure that, we're future-proofing ourselves, right? So, that involves making sure they take another look at their business operations, just figure out if it's what it should be. Better efficiency and productivity. Employees, they want to make sure that, hey, if this stuff happens again, our teams are going to remain productive wherever they are, right? That doesn't happen magically. You need to have proper communication systems to make that happen, right? Need for new ways to service customers. Again, if the customers aren't able to come in, you got to be able to field interactions with them somehow. You got to be able to make sure you can interact with them via messaging, via email, web chat, phone, etc. Vetting permanent solutions, best of both worlds. Again, this is the step back phase. This is okay. Well, we made a couple of dicey decisions there. Let's figure out how we're going to make these last, right? And finally, a consistent user experience and minimal changes to infrastructure costs. Why is a consistent user experience important? Because it minimizes and lowers the learning curve, right? If the solution is simple to use, simple to manage, simple to administer, moves, adds, changes, and if every user experience is simple and consistent, then it's going to be no problem when new employees join or you expand your business and so forth, right? Scott, did I forget anything?
You didn't forget anything. I have seen, especially early on, so if there was a hurricane, a lot of companies would say, well, it's a lot of work to upgrade and have remote working from home. I can't go into the office, but it's temporary. I'm not going to take the time to actually invest in this. The pandemic was really the first time where it was like, well, it'll be over in a week or 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's a month, and then it's 2 months, and it keeps going. And so it has forced companies to sort of reevaluate the way that they're doing things. The good thing is it's easy. Like you mentioned, it's very easy to deploy these different models as far as, soft phones, cell phones, desk phones, remote working and everything with the cloud solution that we have here. So very good points there, Joseph.
Appreciate that, Scott. Okay, let's move on. So you remember we promised you we would talk a little bit about MiCloud. So here's where that kind of really hits home, right? So why cloud? What's the benefits of a cloud-based communication system? Well, let's start on just go across into each one. Let's start with value. Minimal to no upfront expenses. This is one of the big ones, right? Because with an on-prem solution, you're paying for it. It's an upfront cost, at least the majority of it, right? Yeah, there might be some maintenance services and some software assurance services, etc. But the majority of that, all that hardware and stuff, that's paid for upfront, right? So with cloud solutions, with you must have heard people talk about SaaS, SaaS, subscription, software as a service. It's a monthly subscription fee that you're paying. That's what you get with cloud or with MiCloud Connect, which is our cloud product. What other piece of value do you get there? In addition to not having to pay a huge chunk of money up front, there's the flexibility to mix and match the packages, the profiles. We'll get a little bit more into that in later slides, but you don't have to have the entire company using one profile, right? Or even some features that this team needs to use. They could be the only ones using it if you want, right? Scott made a great point when it came to the hurricane concept and folks saying, yeah, you know what? I don't need to make this investment. This storm will be over in a few days or a week or max, right? Business continuity was always treated like that. Business continuity was always treated like it's a nice to have, I'll get to it someday. Well, COVID made business continuity a very serious thing, right? It kind of made it cool again. Business continuity used to be cool when it first came out. Now it's front and center because people just don't know what's going to happen next, right? So the only thing we can do is future-proof your communication solutions with a cloud solution like what we're talking about here today, right? One that can work from anywhere, one that's proven to be reliable, it's up and running. It doesn't matter what's going on. We're hosted on the world's largest data centers, Google Cloud, etc. Right? It's up. It's remaining up. Okay, maintenance side of the house. There's minimal to no on-site equipment involved, right? Okay, yeah, you might, if you opt for some handsets, sure, you're gonna get some handsets, whatever you want, But that's pretty much going to be one of the few things that are on site. That storage room that you had behind there with the rack and all the equipment on it, that's not needed for the solution. You could turn that room into a something, a game room or something, right? You don't need that anymore. Maintenance, installation fees, etc. Again, low to non-existent. You're probably thinking, hey, that sounds pretty good, man. But what about upgrades? What about how do I get my stuff updated? It happens magically. No, just kidding you. It happens and it's automatic, right? Automatic software updates, right? And you don't even know when it's happening, right? You can't know if you want to. Let's say you're a business and you need to know when these updates are happening. You have visibility in the admin portal to see when they're happening, right? So you know well ahead of time. But just to let you know, it's always updated. Eliminate the need for equipment that requires valuable time from IT staff. Your IT, depending on the size of the companies out there, you may have some IT teams or an individual IT person that's stressed to the max because they're juggling this project and that project. They're juggling things that involve, security. You always think about these security breaches and stuff. No, you want to make sure your company's secure, but your IT guy doesn't have the time to focus on security because he's focusing on making your phone system work, right? Now we can focus on security because he doesn't have to worry about the phone system anymore once you go to the cloud, right? Accessibility. Scott, go ahead and jump in. I know you want to. This is exciting, exciting piece for you. Let me hear what you got to say.
Yeah, so I love that aspect of it, and we've seen it with, I'm going to say, the commodity type things. And back in the day, you used to have web servers, you used to have email servers that were all run by your IT staff. And slowly that became a commodity. And so they're saying, rather than put in all the resources to house the servers, to do whatever, I'm going to use Office 365 for using this, or I'm going to use GoDaddy for my web servers, and they can handle that kind of stuff. Voice is slowly becoming that sort of way where now, instead of having to increase your IT budgets, you can simply go to the cloud And now you can take that money and put it into different areas of your business. And like you said, it could be security, it could be, you know, infrastructure as far as your switching or routing and stuff. It could be MPLS between branches. You know, you can still have that money, you can still budget for it, but you put it into other areas of business for growth. And I think that's a really important point.
Absolutely. Okay, accessibility. All employees have access to the same easy to use features and functionality. This is another thing that you know, was a little difficult to do in the on-prem world. You know, like not everybody may have had access to something as simple as a handset, or not everybody had access to the same types of features that other teams used. With the cloud solution, with MiCloud Connect, whoever needs to have it can have it, right? Employees can be productive wherever they need to be. You know, we talked at length about the whole concept of working from anywhere, and that's because that's a big deal right now, right? Obviously because of COVID, right? Integrations, we got a slide coming up on integrations later to show you what off-the-shelf integrations are included, but this is a very big deal here. So you want to make sure that your cloud solution can be integrated and is integratable with if you're using, you know, any kind of mainstream CRM or ERP system, and you know, Salesforce, Zendesk, MS Dynamics, and a whole host of others, right? You want to make sure that, you know, the systems are connected, they're integrated for obvious reasons. They unlock different types of information for people that need to have them, right? Scalability. So obviously, you know, well, depending on the industry vertical that you might be in, you may see peaks and valleys in your activities, in your sales, in your growth, in your operations, and as a result, need to be able to scale up or scale down across the year, and that's very difficult for some solutions. Not for us, right? So keep that in mind. Alrighty, what else do we have here? This is the famous total cost of ownership story, right? The first thing anybody will say when you start talking about a cloud solution is, all right, Joe, okay, it sounds good, man, but I've already paid for my on-prem solutions. Paid for, man. Why do I need to go move to the cloud? Well, you know, it's okay. So this graphic here, okay, it's not the best looking graphic. Well, here's what it's supposed to be. That circle there with the thing in between there, that's supposed to be an iceberg. You know, we've all seen that image about the iceberg, a little piece of ice on top and a huge piece underneath the water. The piece underneath the water is what we're talking about here today, because that piece under the water is those hidden costs, right? And what's in there? It's telco costs, right? You heard Scott talk about MPLS links just now. That could also be PRIs, T1s. Then you got the telephony costs, connectivity costs, like local and long distance fees, toll-free lines. There's the PBX parts, hardware items. There's stuff, you know, you could see what's on there, but there's stuff that's not even listed there. Utility costs. You got to be able to, you know, all this stuff requires electricity to run. It requires cooling. It requires space on your premises, right? Space that could be used for something else, right? So all of these things are hidden costs. And let's not forget another key hidden cost. Ask yourself, hey, that IT guy that we were talking about just now, or that IT team, let's just break it down to one guy, just for the sake of this conversation. I got a company, and I got an IT guy, and I've paid off for my on-prem solution. I don't want to hear anything about cloud. Okay, no problem. How much time does your IT guy spend maintaining your communication system? I don't know. Okay, let's ask the IT guy, and he'll tell you, oh man, at least half my time is spent on that. They always want some kind of change made, and this made to the IVR, and this person moved, and this person removed, and I got to fix this and whatever. Okay, so half of his time, based on whatever you're paying him, X amount of dollars, you got to factor that into the cost of your on-prem solution. That's what you're paying to keep it running, right? Or let's say you're paying, you know, to a third-party contractor to keep it going, right? All of those hidden costs involved in keeping your on-prem solutions running. And those all go away when you move to the cloud. So all we're saying here is there's a total, and we have this broken down. We've done the math on this, right? This is our thing. So we've done the math on it, and let's not forget we have on-prem solutions too, right? We're saying we have the full gamut. We have the full suite of solutions, whether it be on-prem, subscription-based, and full cloud. We got the full suite. So we know the math involved in the total cost of ownership firsthand, right? So what we're saying here is, okay, we hear you, but just be aware there are some hidden costs involved in maintaining your on-prem solutions, all of which go away when you move to the cloud, right? If anybody is interested in hearing more about this or seeing some of the models that we've done on this, just let you reach out to your reps and we could set that up. Anything else on this note here, Scott?
No, I think they're very good points. And one thing also to note is we talked about the license fees and stuff. You buy it.
Yes.
And you talked a little bit earlier about seasonality, right? Maybe you're increasing your workforce. Now you've got to buy new licenses. Now maybe you've decreased your workforce. We've already paid for those licenses. You're stuck, having to pay for it. And with a subscription type service, you're given that flexibility where you can either increase or decrease your user count. So that way you're not having to pay for licenses that are no longer in use.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And the other thing is, and this is a bit of a differentiator for us because some of the other competing cloud solutions don't offer this. MiCloud Connect includes the connectivity services. So when we say that you can get rid of your telco, your PRIs, your T1s, etc., we take care of that, right? We take care of the connectivity services and that whole portion of it as well. All right, so that was all MiCloud, right? So we should be at that point of the game here where, okay, we understand why we need to move to the cloud. Okay, now why do we need to choose you guys, right? We're no strangers to the cloud. You heard me say a few minutes ago, we have the full suite of solutions. Everybody knows Mitel because obviously we got some of the most proven, most reliable, best on-premise solutions available, right? But what a lot of people don't know is that we're also the market leader on the cloud side. And you can see from this graph here, we're above some of the folks that a lot of people might think are trending ahead of us. We're above Cisco, Avaya, RingCentral, right? So that's something to keep in mind. We're no strangers to the cloud, and MiCloud Connect is the one that's really breaking down these doors, right? Over 5 million business users worldwide. It's a proven solution. Here's a bit of a loaded slide. I'm going to take a couple minutes to go through everything on this. So let's start with the investment protection side of things. You heard me talk just now about, okay, I've already paid for my stuff, right? Now, this is applicable to Mitel customers, right? I don't think we have any folks on this call here that are actual Mitel customers, but let's imagine if you were, right? You were a Mitel customer, you already paid for a solution. Well, depending on what handsets you chose, those could still work with MiCloud Connect. And even if they didn't work, we provide free handset upgrades, right? So that's one thing. Migration tools, again, this is specific to Mitel customers, but we have a whole bunch of migration tools that make it easy to move to the cloud, right? One of the things involved, I don't want to spend too much time on this because, like I said, I know that we don't have any Mitel customers on here, but we have a tool, we're actually launching it 1st of October, which is Friday, I think, which is going to do 1st of October, right, Scott? This migration tool, yeah. Okay. This tool is going to automatically map and detect your Mitel system, your Mitel topology, right? It's going to tell you how many users you have. It's going to tell you what features and packages that you're on, and the configurations, all that stuff. So it's basically like a Mitel system audit, and it's done like that. And you could just sit down there and review that, and then you use that to migrate you to the cloud, right? So there's a whole bunch of migration tools available. Then there's a whole bunch of incentive programs that encourage folks to move to the cloud. And one of them was that free phone upgrade, right? There's several of them. Again, they're Mitel specific. right? But by all means, reach out to your rep. We might be able to do some things to get you, to move you over to us, right? In fact, we do have a series of promotions. And they call a whole bunch of crazy things like Speedway and all these different types of things, but they're basically, they range from 3 months of free service to free handsets. Like I said, we're offering a whole bunch of things to move to us, move to Mitel, right? So bear in mind, there's a lot of things available to make that leap very easy. Dedicated experts, we got a dedicated expert right here on the webinar with us. We have a whole bunch of others, not quite as smart as Scott, but almost, and that means they're very smart, right? They're a dedicated migration team. They're going to make sure that what we deploy for you, it does the job. It does it to your spec, right? Did I forget anything on there, Scott?
No, every business is different, right? And
yes.
Understanding how you need to be set up is probably the most important part. Being able to understand that certain users need certain features, different divisions need this kind of functionality. That's how you're going to be successful. That's how it's going to be a successful implementation. And we're there from the very beginning discovery phases through the actual implementation and sign off that everything is complete. So just make sure, or we're making sure that the customer is going to be happy with the way that it is, instead of having to work through all the issues after things are cut over.
That's exactly right. I mean, like, one of the first things on anybody's mind when they think migration is, they want to make sure that their as-is scenario continues, right? They want to make sure, okay, well, I'm looking forward to using all these new features, but I want to make sure that at least I can continue operating the way that I am, right? And even the way that they're operating right now might not be ideal, but that's the way that they know, right? So that's fine. You continue. We can guarantee you continue as is, but we're going to at the same time expose you to a whole different world of doing things, right? So yeah, it's all about feature parity, and it's all about making sure that you understand the whole what if. There's a whole world of what's possible, the world of the art of the possible, right? All right, a little bit about MiCloud Connect. We like to summarize the whole MiCloud Connect story around 3 different things. Reliability. There's a slide coming up either after this or a couple slides after that shows all ranking on downdetector.com. And of course, downdetector.com is a site that tracks whenever any of these services go down, not just us, anybody else, right? And we're ranking highest on there compared to all the mainstream competitors. We've invested in how this product has been built in terms of microservices architecture. Makes it very, very easy to add different types of functionality, different types of features, capabilities, views, user experience, all that type of stuff. You've heard us talk about Google Cloud. Where this is hosted on Google Cloud. It's extremely reliable. It's backed with a customer satisfaction guarantee. I think we have another slide coming up on that. 90-day customer satisfaction guarantee. That's how confident we are in the solution. Super flexible. You heard us talk about work from home. You heard us talk about the mix and match. You could do all that as well. Work style flexibility. This is not a rigid solution where you have to use it like this. It can be customized to the ways that your teams work. And then, of course, simplicity. I mean, all this would be at a huge loss if it was hard to use. You go, okay, so it's super reliable, it's super flexible, but it's extremely hard to use. Okay, well, forget about that, right? Not so with us. This is extremely intuitive. You have people sit down and start using this within minutes because that's just how it was designed, right? What else do we have here? I think that pretty much. Oh, and of course, like the image there, that image there, it shows that this is a multi-screen solution, right? It works on your mobile. It works on your handset. It works on a soft client. And I use the mobile functionality every day. It's seamless, right? And it's always getting better. We're always doing updates, always doing feature updates and releases and so forth. So you're always going to be pleasantly surprised with new features. Anything else, Scott?
Yeah, no, just to add on, so you mentioned features, adding on features, and that's another good thing about it. You're not having to pay on a feature by feature basis. We have very simplistic feature bundles. As things become available, you're given those entitlements. If you no longer want to use that feature bundle, you can change bundles, and that's a big part of it as well, right? So choosing the right bundle or feature package that is going to work for the employees. And a lot of competitors can't do that. You're forced into one specific type of functionality for all users. So it just gives you the flexibility to have the features that you need.
Yep. All right. I was going to say this should be an animated GIF, so I hope it animates, and it is animating. This is just showing that we won the Breakthrough Award. This organization, Remote Tech, is like I'm sure you guys have heard of Gartner, or you've heard of Forrester, and a whole bunch of these types of industry research and analyst type firms. So this is one of them. And we won Business Phone System of the Year for 2021, MiCloud Connect, the same solution we're talking about today. It won the Business Phone System of the Year award for Remote Tech. This is that down detector thing that I was referring to a couple of minutes ago. This is just how it looks in terms of outages. I mean, and we didn't doctor this up, right? We're not fibbing here. We're not faking here. It's not fake news. It's not one of those fake news items, right? Look at MS Teams. I'm not even going to count those. I can't count that high. Look at Zoom. Also a lot of little red dots there. Ring, much better, but there's still some red stuff going on there. 8x8, scattered across the air. Look at us. We're not kidding around, man. 2 outages in the span of a year, August to July. And we make sure we update this every single month. And if it's bad, it's bad. We're not trying to hide anything. But the fortunate thing for us is our solution is just that reliable. So we're proud to show this, right? This next slide here is, oh, sorry, Scott, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so you can have all the features in the world.
Yes.
But if it's not up and running, it doesn't help you.
Yeah.
We have a lot of the features that all the competitors have. We've got more features in some other ways, but we wanted to make sure that our product was the most reliable, and that was one of the reasons why we developed and put it into the Google data centers, because they're best in class when it comes to providing that kind of service. So we believe wholeheartedly that if you're using our product, you're going to get the best type of service possible. So
absolutely. It's like I'm a car guy, right? I like cars. Sure, there's some of you out there that like cars as well, and sports car kind of guy. Everybody wants to, whether you can afford it or not. I can't, but let's say you had you had a nice Ferrari parked up outside, right? Fast as it gets, and all the fancy stuff in there. How reliable is that car? Are you going to say a little prayer every time you punch that power button, and the car turns on, and you're hoping you don't see any engine alarms coming up? So that's the story here, right? There's some folks out there that have the world of features. Sure, some of them may have a couple more features that we don't have, but does it work when you need it to work? And the answer is no. Well, we do. And we're not chinking on the features either. We're up there with all the features. Don't get us wrong. We're not saying, oh yeah, we don't have all the features, but we're reliable. No. We'll go toe to toe with anybody on the features, right? But we know that we're beating on reliability as well. So,
and if you ever want to get into a featured, presentation or something, yes, we're happy to do demonstrations and stuff of our product so that you guys can get a first-hand look.
That might be another a nice logical next step here. If any of you folks think that, okay, you guys talked a good game here, let's see what you got. We schedule a demo with one of our specialists, and they show you everything that we talked about here today. They're gonna raise the hood and show you everything under there, right? Feature by feature. Absolutely. in a live demo. This slide here just talks about integrations. You heard me talk about all, being integrated with Salesforce and all that stuff before. This is just a handful of what we have that in terms of off-the-shelf integrations, and there's more. We're adding them all the time because we recognize that companies, they're using these, they're using others. They want to make sure that their communication system is integrated with these types of solutions, right? So great news on that. We are. There's some that are not even on here. We're also integrated with MS Teams in case there's some MS Teams users out there that also need to use MiCloud Connect. We have integrations with everything. You heard us talk about the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. This is just a single slide on that. 90-day evaluation period with Mitel assistance. We've got 99.99% SLA backed by uptime and financial commitment. It's an SLA, right? Training and support options to make sure you get off on the right foot. Customer success and sales and enablement, all that's built in, right? So yeah, worry-free, 90 days. No, we're going to get into some. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, and talk to some of the competitors that are out there, and just say, are they willing to offer a similar guarantee on their products, and see what their answer is.
Yeah, this is rare, right? This is not something that everybody's offering. Scott's making a good point. So now we're at the frequently asked question portion of this. We just chose My Voice Connect as an example because it's one of our on-prem solutions. We wanted to use that as an example of what questions people would have moving from on-prem to MiCloud Connect. So again, this is specific to My Voice Connect. If anybody out there has any other questions that you might want to ask, feel free to throw it into the chat. We'll deal with them live, right? So here, this slide here again, it's specific to migrating from My Voice Connect to MiCloud Connect. So some of these things might not resonate with some of you, but just off the top, some of these things would be relevant across the board. MiCloud Connect offers the latest features, minimal to no on-site hardware, and seamless remote work capabilities, reduced IT costs. That's applicable regardless of what you're on. You're on NEC, you're on Avaya, whatever. Now, that message is across the board. No annual maintenance, no servers or gateways, no carrier bills, scalability without CapEx, full self-service. That's a statement across the board, regardless of what you're on right now. Suitable for less complex My Voice Connect customer installs. Okay, so like I said, My Voice Connect is a pretty robust on-prem solution that we have. Some customers that are using My Voice Connect are massive, so we like to make sure that there's feature parity. Okay, let's make sure we understand what you're using right now, and we have all that capability on MiCloud Connect. Okay, no problem, you can use this, right? It works if your company is fine with a public cloud or a multi-tenanted solution, right? So what that means is, and Scott, I know you jump in on this, but what that means is if, let's say you are, unless you are like a mission critical type operation where, okay, well, I have to be, I'm running some sort of a, 24/7 retail type e-commerce environment or something that online type facility that needs to be online 24/7. And if you're doing any kind of a software upgrade, I need to have control over when that's scheduled. If you're running that type of operation, then we need to be aware of it, because with MiCloud Connect, it's a public cloud solution, and we control the software updates. You have visibility of them, but they're done on our timeline. Scott, anything else to say on that?
Yeah, no, that's a good point to make in making a decision. So Mitel does have different offerings. We do have a single instance or dedicated instance for, specific deployments, but the MiCloud Connect is a multi-tenanted version, which means there are those, I'm going to say, scheduled maintenance windows that take place that keep us within the 4 nines reliability, almost 5 nines. But it's just some things that you absolutely need to take into account when trying to choose a vendor for cloud.
This next one is purely applicable to existing Mitel folks. Investment protection for the 6900 series and the 400 series IP handsets. Those work with MiCloud Connect as well. Uses the same platform, so no end user retraining required. Again, Mitel specific. But we will argue the point that even if you're using something else, you're going to find MiCloud Connect extremely easy to use, right? This final one here is also applicable across the board. You're going to hear, if none of you out there have heard anything about RayBomb yet, you're going to start hearing about RayBomb closer to the end of the year, because this is a piece of legislation that's about to come into order as of January, I think. And what RayBomb E911 basically is so we all know what 911 is, emergency 911. Back in the days when everybody was using fixed lines, fixed PSTN phone, right? Nobody, the dispatchers wouldn't have a problem finding you because you're calling from a fixed line. That fixed line has a fixed location. You're in this house, you're at that address, etc. No problem. But now that we have these, whether you're in an apartment building or a commercial building, or even if you're calling from a VoIP, a voice over IP phone or something like that, the emergency dispatchers are going to have a more difficult time finding you when you dial 911, because there's no complete dispatch location included with that 911 call, right? So what the whole E911 compliance thing is building in as of January, it's requiring, never mind my IT thing here, right? It's requiring every provider of either phone systems or even phone services to be compliant, so that if you're making a 911 call from a voice over IP phone or a phone that's attached to a PBX or something, or a hosted solution or a unified communication solution like MiCloud Connect, it will include the dispatch location required for the 911 emergency responders to find you, right? So it's a pretty serious thing. And it's a compliance that's coming into play in January. And, a lot of everybody that's involved in this business, Mitel or NEC, everybody else has to be able to be compliant. And MiCloud Connect is compliant already with it, right? So that's something else to throw in there. The rest of these here, again, some of these might be applicable across the board. We'll point out when something isn't. First one is system availability and uptime are critical for me. Does a cloud solution offer that? Absolutely, right? You heard us talk about that on this webinar already. You saw the down detector slide. You heard Scott talk about how we're on Google Cloud, so we got that covered. My business is growing, and I expect to add more branches next year. Again, you heard us talk about how easy it is to scale up or down, right? Scott, if you have anything to throw in, just you jump in by all means, right?
Just to add on that, like we talked about the licensing. So it's fluid licensing. You're given the ability to add or seasonality, so you can go down as well. So we're trying to be as flexible as we possibly can, because we understand that business is not static, and there's always changes and stuff being made the way that that you're approaching communications.
Yep. My phone system is already paid for. You heard us talk about the whole total cost of ownership story. You heard us talk about freeing up your IT folks to focus on more critical business projects. That's applicable here. The references to the 6900 series and the 400 series IP phones, of course, that's only if you're already using them, but we don't think that's the case here. And also, all these different programs and incentives, they're available to you as well. So ask about them, right? Business analytics is important to me, and we need it for both PBX users and contact center agents. What do we have to say about that, Scott?
I kind of touched a little bit about, the whole idea of customer interaction or customer experience, and being able to to communicate the way that they want to. With our upcoming Mitel 1 and 1CX, basically we're creating the ability to interact very easily with your customers using one interface. And this is really important because a lot of times your contact center is separate. It's always this second piece. And this is really pioneering where you're going to be able to be a regular business user at 1 minute. You can simply just turn on the customer experience feature set, and now you've become an agent using the same interface. And you can communicate via text and email and voice and omni-channel. And so it's going to be a very, very powerful tool and very, very easy to use. We talked about some of those integrations, into the CRMs, whether it's Salesforce or whatever. All these are out of the box, and it's continuing to grow. So you're not having to pay for professional services where it's, that's a custom integration. You're going to hear that a lot from other competitors, custom. And then all of a sudden the price just keeps going up.
Yep.
So with our 1CX, we're saying, you know what? Let's build it, and we'll just keep expanding on it so that it's part of the standard offering and, giving you the choice. So we have open APIs, making it very, very easy to create these widgets or add-ons to the application itself, but they're all embedded within the client, making it a single pane of glass for all the feature sets that you need.
Absolutely. All right. What do we have next? Site survivability for our key locations is paramount for voice services. And this is one of your favorite pieces, yes, Scott. This is where we talk about all the diverse connectivities types that we can accommodate, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So, not only do we have the different data centers, so everybody might say, well, I feel more secure with having a premise-based solution, right? You're only as good as your last mile. So what happens is a truck comes in, digs up the road, and all of a sudden now you're completely out. Your phone system might be working, internal to your building, but it's not going to be able to work for the outside callers. Having a true cloud solution means that even though you might have a smoking hole in your office, or you can't go into the office like with the pandemic, the phone system is still in the cloud, it's still operational, it's still working. Meaning you can take calls on your soft phone if you're remote, or your cell phone if you don't have a PC or something. Then it's just giving you the flexibility and survivability so that you're always available to communicate.
Yep.
And I know we're getting close to time here, Joseph.
I know, right? Yeah. So, you know what? The good news is that this is on the last slide. This is the last slide. We're good to go. Our communication network integrates with several apps, and we require third-party APIs and app integration. We got more good news on that. We have a whole developer portal already good to go. We got a URL right there. It's developer.mitel.io. This is our whole Cloud Link. It's branded Cloud Link. You're going to be hearing more about that in weeks and months to come. But it's a whole developer portal. It's going to end up being it's growing into an app exchange, all these different types of things. And it's built for both code-based APIs and no-code-based APIs. What that means is you think about API integration. Well, it involves, on one hand, somebody being able to use that API to build the integration, right, from a code perspective. But we have something called Cloud Link Studio, which provides a no-code environment. If you can drag and drop things, you can build API integrations with it. Believe it or not, it sounds crazy, but it's true. And we have partners out there testing it out, and they're building all sorts of IoT integrations, and it really is amazing to even just see it. It's very, very elegant user interface.
And another powerful tool on this is it's all web-based. Meaning you're not having to install an application on the desktop and roll out upgrades and doing all those kinds of things. So essentially, there's an update in the product, you refresh your browser. That's as easy as it is. Oh, you want to install a new application? You simply log in, and you're good to go. So very, very powerful tool. It's something that, we put a lot of time and develop in to make it as easy as possible to roll out and do these kinds of things.
Absolutely. The rebomb stuff, you heard me talk about the rebomb stuff. We're not going to bother hitting that again, but just know that, this solution that we're referring to here, MiCloud Connect, is already rebomb compliant. And I think that brings us to the end of our webinar here. So I know that we have Laurie coming back in, don't we? Or Larissa, to close off the show.
Yes. Sorry about that. Had to find the unmute button. So we actually did have one more thing that we wanted to say. So for those who attended today, we put you into a raffle to win a gift card. And I'm happy to say that Adam Fisher was the winner of our gift card from Crayons to Computers. So we will contact you and give you all the details for that. Larissa, is there anything else you want to wrap up with?
No, thanks so much, guys. Thanks, Scott and Joseph. And if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to your parallel rep. We will send you a copy of the recording, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.